Over the Premiership history, despite fierce rivalries, teams have still managed to find the way to sell their best players to each other. Whether it's been Spurs to Arsenal, Manchester United to City, Chelsea to Liverpool, Arsenal to everyone, players have still been traded despite how valuable they are to their former clubs. Quickly, if you like this video, please subscribe and comment which players you think should have made our list. With that said, here are the top transfers between the top sides in the Premiership. On one of those rare occasions when someone switches from one Manchester club to another was also one of the most controversial transfers on our list. Yes, you guessed it, Carlos Tevez switched from United to City for circa £47 million. After almost single-handedly saving West Ham from relegation in 2006, Tevez moved to United where he won the Champions League, the Premier League and the Carling Cup in a successful 2-year period, scoring 34 goals in 97 matches. However, after growing frustrated at lack of first-team opportunities, Tevez made a sensational move to the blue half of Manchester. In a PR checkmate, Manchester City welcomed him with billboards which said, "Welcome to Manchester." To many, Tevez was one of the key players that started the revolution at Manchester City. He won their first trophy for 35 years. But with that said, Tevez is the kind of player that impressed wherever he played. He was loved at West Ham, he was loved at United, and eventually he was loved by City fans. However, he was greeted by boos whenever he returned in another person's shirt. So the question is, which side got the best performances out of Tevez? After years of promising much and being hampered by injury, Robin van Persie turned into the best striker in the Premiership in the 2011-12 season. Just as Arsenal looked ready to start challenging for titles again, Van Persie grew frustrated by Arsenal's lack of transfer activity, and Alex Ferguson saw him as the perfect striker to regain United supremacy over City. And basically, Ferguson was right. With 26 goals in his first season for United, Van Persie helped United win the Premiership title. Personally, I think any of the top 4 sides that had Van Persie in their team would have won the title that year. Maybe not Spurs. Question is, do you think this is Wenger's biggest mistake? Before Coutinho and Suarez, it was Fernando Torres that broke Liverpool fans' hearts by having a big money move away from the club. By 2010-2011 season, Torres' form had dipped due to a number of injuries. However, he was still a fan favourite and a potential great striker. Chelsea swooped in with a £50 million bid on deadline day. However, he did score a key goal against Barcelona in the Champions League, whereas Chelsea was en route to winning it. Over 3 seasons, Torres scored 45 goals. That's more than £1 million per goal. So the question is whether that one significant goal is worth 50 million to Chelsea fans. Let us know in the comments. Danny Welbeck was sold to Arsenal by Louis van Gaal in the 2014 season. Wenger was out of the country to sanction the move, and he later admitted he preferred a loan move rather than actually buying the striker outright. Welbeck's time at Arsenal hasn't exactly been glorious. However, the highlight of the Arsenal career came when he scored the winning goal in the FA Cup semi-final against Manchester United at Old Trafford. Fun fact, I was there. Come on, Arsenal. However, since then, Welbeck has resumed a back-and-forth relationship with the injury room. He is yet to prove whether Arsenal would have actually taken that option to buy if it was only a loan deal. Question: do you think Welbeck will ever be a 20-goal-a-season striker for Arsenal? When Raheem Sterling moved from Liverpool to Manchester City for 49 million, some people doubted he would ever live up to that price tag. The pundits were proven right in his first 2 seasons, to the extent that there was talk of him being used as a part exchange deal for Alexis Sanchez. But during the 2017-18 season, Sterling became not just a major player for City, but one of the best attacking players in the Premiership, if not Europe. He has now become a prolific goal scorer and a match winner. And in today's crazy money, 49 doesn't really seem like that much. Question is, how good do you think Sterling will become? When Courtois returned from a loan spell at Atletico Madrid, he was fast-tracked into the Chelsea starting 11 at the expense of legendary keeper Petr Cech. However, with the blessing of Roman Abramovich, Cech was allowed to move to Arsenal. Many people, such as Alan Shearer, thought that the addition of Cech would mean that Arsenal would be challenged for titles once again. However, Cech arrived just as Ospina had helped Arsenal win the FA Cup. Ospina's belief in himself and his abilities have certainly diminished under Cech being number 1 and Ospina becoming number 2. Despite Cech ageing and being nowhere near the keeper he was at Chelsea, personally I think Arsenal's problems in recent years weren't to do with having a goalkeeper, it was more to do with defensive frailties. So the question is, has Cech really been a difference maker at Arsenal? In truth, when Man City first came into money, it seemed like Arsenal had become a feeder club for their squad. with players like Gaël Clichy and Bakary Sagna joining them. However, the first significant move was in 2009 when Carlos Tevez joined Manchester City for 40 million as one of their first of many Arsenal players to do the same. I think every Arsenal fan was sad to see Carlos' big smile leave the Emirates. The Ivorian handed in a transfer request as he fell out with William Gallas. He was appointed to club captain by Mark Hughes and he joined at the beginning of Manchester City's revolution. So by the time his brother Yaya had joined, Kolo was more of a squad player, but he still managed to become a title winner in 2011-12 season. Toure is one of the few players to play for a number of top English sides. He eventually left Manchester City and joined Liverpool, where his big smile and positive nature managed to establish himself as a cult hero once again. The mystery around Emmanuel Adebayor's transfer continues. At the time, Wenger and the rest of Arsenal said he was chasing that Man City money. However, in a recent interview, Adebayor said he was invited into Wenger's office and the boss told him that he had to leave as they were selling him to City. Either way, the facts are newly money City made their bid and then convinced Arsenal to sell. Adebayor scored in his debut against Wolves. The transfer was made extra controversial in the manner that he celebrated his first goal for City against Arsenal. He ran the length of the pitch to celebrate in front of the away fans. Adebayor went on to be loaned out twice and was eventually sold to Tottenham in 2012. In truth, if Arsenal had managed to hold on to all of their midfielders that they sold over the years, our midfield would be pretty decent. Example, Samir Nasri was finally becoming the player he'd always threatened to be during his last season at Arsenal, which as per usual meant that Arsenal would offload him to their rival City for 25 million. He offered a new creative drive and flair to their midfield and played 31 games as City went on to win the title. Nasri's next seasons were nothing special, however, like Robin van Persie, if you buy a player who at least gives you enough quality for one decent season and you win the title, maybe it's money well spent. Question: which Manchester City signing from their rival has been the most influential? Remember Yossi Benayoun? Well, you will if you're a Liverpool fan, you might do if you're an Arsenal fan, and probably not so much if you're a Chelsea fan. Liverpool sold Benayoun to Chelsea for 5.5 million in 2010. This was despite Benayoun having a successful spell at Liverpool where he scored 18 goals in 92 games. However, his move to Chelsea was nowhere near as successful. Over the course of 3 years, he only made 14 Premiership appearances. But with limited opportunities at Chelsea, Benayoun went on loan to Arsenal for a season. He managed to score 4 goals in 19 games and received a standing ovation when he was substituted against Tottenham Hotspurs when Arsenal won 5-2 after being 2-0 down. Some honourable mentions include Sol Campbell coming to the red half of North London from Spurs. Considering he was one of the Invincibles, that decision kind of vindicates itself. On the other hand, we had Ashley Cole abandoning Arsenal to join Chelsea in a swap deal with William Gallas. The talk of Ashley leaving because Arsenal offered him 5k less a week than he wanted meant that he became hated and known as Cashley Cole, despite his many years of good service for the Arsenal. Also, when Newcastle were further up the table, Andrew Cole exchanged the black and white for the red shirts of Manchester United. He went on to win 5 Premiership titles and the Champions League, whereas Newcastle haven't done so much recently. Once again, we saw another Arsenal player leaving the prime of their career when Oxlade-Chamberlain joined Liverpool for circa £35 million. Many thought that Liverpool had overpaid for the Englishman, however he proved his worth during Liverpool's unbeaten streak-ending victory over Manchester City. The Ox scored the opening goal in Liverpool's 4-3 victory. Will the Ox be another player that has left Arsenal in order to find success? It's undecided right now, but let us know in the comments. Many commentators were surprised that Antonio Conte was willing to sell Matic to Manchester United. When Jose saw the opportunity to pick up his former player, he took it, even at 40 million. Matic is a quality player regardless of where he plays, so the likelihood of not succeeding is very slim. Despite coming so close to winning the title themselves, Spurs decided they could afford to sell Kyle Walker to Manchester City for £50 million. Again, some thought he was overpriced, but Walker has contributed heavily to City's 22-game unbeaten run in the Premier League. And of course, the swap deal between Manchester United and Arsenal for Alexis Sanchez and Henrikh Mkhitaryan. Only time will tell which was the better deal. But you can still let us know your thoughts on which of these transfers you think was the most significant gain or loss for either club, and which signers you think should have made our list. I've been Emmanuel Adebayor, thanks for watching, and please download the Onefootball app for more football stories.